Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting and friendly episode of our English learning podcast. I'm Agnes. Thank you so much for joining us again today, whether you are at home, walking outside, or maybe even cooking. We are happy you chose to spend this time with us. We're here to learn, to grow, and to enjoy English together.
And I'm Jasper. Hello to all our amazing listeners from around the world. We're very thankful for your support. Every time you watch, like, or share this podcast, you help others learn English too. So really, thank you. We're so happy to be with you again.
Before we begin, I just want to say, learning English is not just about grammar or vocabulary. It's also about building confidence, speaking clearly, and understanding how the pieces of the language work together. So today's topic is very important for building strong English skills.
Right, Agnes? And before we jump in, let me ask you a question. What is our topic for today? What are we going to explore with our listeners?
That's a great question, Jasper. Today's special topic is English grammar, subject usage and senses. Yes, we are going deep into how we use subjects in English. One of the most basic but most powerful parts of any sentence.
Wow, that sounds very interesting. Subjects. That's a word we hear a lot in English class, right? But what is a subject exactly, and why is it so important?
Great question again, Jasper. In English, every complete sentence needs a subject. The subject is the person, place, thing, or idea that does something or is something in this sentence. Let me give a simple example. I like pizza in this sentence. The subject is I because I am the person doing the action, liking pizza.
Exactly, and here's another example. The dog is sleeping. In this one, the subject is the dog because the dog is doing the action, sleeping.
Yes. So no matter what kind of sentence we're using, we always need a subject. Without it, the sentence feels broken. It's like a car without an engine. It just doesn't go anywhere.
That's true, and many learners often forget to use a subject when they speak English, especially if their native language doesn't always need one. But in English, we always need a subject, even if it's just a small word like it or there.
Right? Let's look at this one. It is raining. Double quotes now. Who is doing the action? Nobody really. But still, we say it is raining, not just is raining. That small worded is the subject in this sentence. It's called a dummy subject. It doesn't really mean anything, but it's needed for the sentence to be complete.
Yes. And that's one of the fun and strange parts of English grammar. We use it or there to start many sentences, not because they describe something real, but because they help us build a proper sentence. Here's another one. There are many people in the park. The subject is there, and it helps introduce the real thing we're talking about, the people.
So you see, friends, subjects are not just the usual I, you, he, she, they. They can be people, animals, places, even ideas like happiness is important. In this case, happiness is the subject.
And understanding how to use subjects can really help you write better, speak more clearly, and understand English faster when listening. That's why today's episode is not just about grammar, it's about helping you think in English more naturally.
Exactly, Jasper. And I know that for some of our friends, grammar can feel scary, but don't worry, we are here with you. We will go step by step with clear and simple examples and help you feel more comfortable using subjects in your daily English.
And the more you practice using subjects, the easier it gets. You can even practice by speaking short sentences to yourself like, I am ready, she is my teacher, they play football. Just like that, short, strong, correct.
I love that. Those simple sentences are great practice. And now, let's take this idea a little further and see how subjects work in longer or more complex sentences.
How subjects work in longer or more complex sentences. So let's look at this example. My best friend from high school works at a hospital. Now, what is the subject here?
That's a good one. The subject is not just friend, it's the whole part, My best friend from high school. Even though it's longer, the full subject is that group of words. That person, your best friend, is the one who works at a hospital.
Exactly. So, sometimes the subject is just one word like he or dogs, but other times, it's a longer group of words that gives more information about who or what we're talking about. Here's another one. The books on the top shelf belong to my brother in this sentence. The subject is the books on the top shelf. That whole part tells us what we're talking about.
Yes, and understanding that helps us read and listen better. 2. When you hear a sentence like that, you can pause and think, okay, what is the sentence really about? Who is doing something? That helps you find the subject.
That's so helpful. You know, subjects are also very important in questions. In English questions, we sometimes change the order of words, but even in questions, there is still a subject. For example, do you like tea? Here. The subject is you. The sentence starts with do, but the subject is still there.
Right. And how about this one? Where does she live? Here, the subject is she. Even though it comes after does, it's still the one we're talking about.
So even when the order of the sentence changes, the subject is still part of the sentence, and it still tells us who or what the sentence is about.
Let's do something fun. I'll say a sentence, and you guess the subject. Ready?
Okay, let's do it.
My father and I went fishing last weekend. Who or what is the subject?
The subject is my father and that's two people, right? Together, they did the action. They went fishing.
Yes, perfect. Subjects can be two or more people or things joined with and. Here's another one. Cats and dogs live in this house. The subject is cats and dogs. They are both doing the action. Living in the house.
And that's a good time to remind our friends, when the subject is plural, we usually need a plural verb. Cats live, he lives. The subject and verb must agree.
That's right. That's called subject-verb agreement. We'll talk more about that later, but for now, just remember, if the subject is one person or thing gives the verb usually ends with yes. If the subject is more than one, gives the verb usually does not end with s.
Yes, that's so useful. Let's try this. The teacher teaches math. Subject. The teacher gives one person gives verb, teaches.
Perfect. Now try this. The students study hard. Subject. The students gives more than one gives verb, study, not studies.
Great examples. So friends, as you can see, understanding subjects helps you speak clearly, write correctly, and even think more clearly in English.
And one more thing, sometimes the subject is not a noun like dog or teacher. It can be a verb in ing form used like a noun. Example, reading helps you learn. Here, the subject is reading. It's the name of the activity, and it's doing something, helping you learn.
Wow, yes. That's such a good one. We call those gerunds, when a verb becomes a noun by adding ing. So, swimming is fun. Listening helps. All of these have ing verbs as subjects.
Exactly. And learning how to see subjects in different forms makes you a smarter English speaker. That's the beauty of grammar. It gives you power, confidence, and a better voice in English.
I love that. And to all our listeners, thank you again for being with us. You're doing an amazing job just by listening, thinking, and repeating these ideas. You are growing stronger in your English skills.
You really are. Stay with us because we're going to talk more about subjects in special kinds of sentences. Like imperative sentences and questions with there is or it is, these are different. But they also have a subject, even if it's a little hidden.
Yes. Imperative sentences are really interesting. These are the sentences where we give a command or suggestion. For example, close the door, please sit down, don't be late. Now, what is the subject here? It's not written, but it's understood. The subject is you.
Exactly. Even though we don't say you, we are talking to you. So, sit down really means you sit down. Be careful means you be careful. So even if we can't see the subject, we can still understand it.
Yes. That's the key point. Sometimes, subjects are hidden, but still there. Now let's talk about something many students ask about. There is and it is. These are also common ways we start sentences in English. For example, there's a book on the table. Here, there is not really the subject. The real subject is a book.
Yes. And here's why that matters. Because sometimes the verb needs to match the real subject, not the word there. So, there is a pen. One pen, there are two pens. More than one, so again. The subject is a pen or two pens. There just helps introduce the sentence.
That's right. And now let's look at it is. We use it for things like time gives it is 7 o'clock, weather gives it is raining, distance gives it is far. In these cases, it is a subject. But it's not talking about a person or a real thing. It's more like a dummy subject. It's there too. Make the sentence correct.
Yes, and that's normal in English. Every sentence needs a subject. So even if we don't have a person or thing, we still put it to follow the rule. Let's try a few together, okay?
Okay, it is cold today, subject. It talking about the weather.
Nice. How about, there are some cookies in the kitchen. Real subject, cookies. That's what the verb agrees with.
You got it. Let's also look at subject in complex sentences.
Great idea. Let's take this sentence. The man who lives next door is a doctor. Now, the subject here is the man who lives next door. It's not just the man, because who lives next door gives more detail.
So the whole subject is that noun in the description. That's called a relative clause. It gives extra information about the subject. Here's another example. The movie that we watched last night was amazing. Subject, the movie that we watched last night.
Yes, it may look long, but it's still one subject. This helps learners understand that sometimes the subject can be short, and sometimes it's long, and both are okay.
One more cool point. Sometimes we use names or titles as subjects. Example, Agnes is a great teacher. Harry Potter is my favorite book. Here, Agnes and Harry Potter are both subjects.
Thanks, Jasper. That's sweet. But yes, names, titles, places, all can be subjects, and when learners start recognizing the subject quickly, it becomes easier to understand the rest of the sentence.
So now we've talked about simple subjects, long subjects, hidden subjects, dummy subjects, subject-verb agreement. It's a lot, but the more we talk and practice, the more natural it will feel.
Absolutely. Remember, dear learners, the subject tells us who or what the sentence is about. If you find that first, you can understand the sentence much better.
And again, we are so happy that you're here with us. You're learning, growing, and getting more confident with your English.
It really means a lot that you're listening, practicing, and learning with us today. You're doing something amazing by building your grammar in such a strong way. Yes, Jasper. And that brings us to a really good point sometimes. People think that just adding he or she or they is enough. But if the verb and subject don't match, the whole sentence can sound strange or wrong.
Exactly. It's like a small puzzle. Every subject has to fit with its verb, and in English, that can be tricky sometimes, especially in the present tense. For example, he go to school. He goes to school. It's just one little less, but it makes a big difference.
Yes. And learners often forget to use s with third-person singular subjects like he, she, and it. It's very common, and that's okay, but we can practice and get better.
So maybe we can try something fun now. Let's say some subject and verb pairs, and our lovely listeners can say if the sentence is right or wrong. What do you think?
Oh, I love that. Let's do it. Okay, listeners, are you ready? Here we go.
Sentence 1. She play the piano every day. Is it correct?
No, that one is not correct. It should be, she plays the piano every day. Remember, with she, we add s to the verb in the present simple tense.
Great. Sentence 2. They go to work by bus. Correct.
Yes, that one is perfect. They is a plural subject, and go is the right verb form.
All right. Sentence 3. It eat vegetables. What do you think?
No, that's not right. It should be, it eats vegetables. Because it is a third-person singular subject, we need to add s.
Perfect. Now let's talk just a bit about unusual subjects, like when we use this, that, everyone, Or even a gerund like eating, driving, or learning, these can also be subjects.
That's so true. For example, everyone loves a good story. Learning English takes time. These subjects may feel strange, but they follow the same rules.
And one more thing I want to share is this. Don't feel shy if you make mistakes. Making mistakes is part of learning. You are here, listening, learning, and practicing, and that is amazing.
Yes, 100%. And now that we have talked about subjects, verbs, and how they work together, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to each and every one of you who watched or listened to this podcast.
Yes, thank you so much. You're the reason we make these episodes. You are doing a great job learning English. Just keep going, one step at a time.
From me, Agnes.
And from me, Jasper.
Goodbye and see you next time.
Goodbye and see you next time.